Lacey, can you see the PowerPoint on your screen? Or not?
All right, this is Roger Botten. For the record, I'd like to call the Student Attendance Advisory Committee to order. It is 9 o'clock. Do I have the roll call?
Roger Botten,
Present.
Carrie Pruitt, Lacey Keeley,
Present.
Charles Aglabat, Catherine Kyler,
Present.
Danielle Valancourt.
Present.
Thank you.
All right, do we have any public comment?
We do not.
All right, 2.01. If everyone can look at the minutes from the June 6th meeting. Do you have any questions, comments on that? I'll give you a second. I'd like to call for a motion to accept the minutes from June 6th.
This is Lacey Keel for the record. I move to approve.
Do we have a second?
I second the approval.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope, minutes are passed. All right, 2.02, presentation discussion to update the Student Attendance Advisory Committee on the status of strategies to reduce truancy and chronic absenteeism.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome. In particular, our new member, Kat from Juvenile Services. Welcome. We'll get a chance to meet her here in the future on the actual committee agenda. Rochelle Muriel for the record. I'm going to be giving today an overall review of where we're at for chronic absenteeism, how we did this last year. On Tuesday, we presented to the Board of Trustees, and this was partially to let the Board of Trustees let them know how we did with chronic absenteeism. And under the recommendation of this committee, we also recognized a school. You may recall that last time, one of the recommendations that you all voted on was to really recognize some of the work, the best practices, the schools and the staff that have done the work to decrease chronic absenteeism. So I'm going to show you a little bit about what they did. We highlighted Trainer Middle School, which saw significant decreases in chronic absenteeism this last year through a lot of different innovative work that they did. So today, or this month actually, is National Attendance Awareness Month. So welcome to this month and this this committee. We know because we're all here that attendance has a direct correlation to the academic achievement and engagement of our students. And so because attendance matters, for students to be successful and eventually walk across that stage, we have made it a priority, particularly after COVID, when we really saw large increases in chronic absenteeism, and we continue to see those high numbers, much higher than we want to see right now. So we're working to continue to decrease those. So we've done a lot of work over this last year, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that as we move forward. So we celebrated successes. We highlighted what the attendance campaign looked like through partnerships, KNPB, and strengthening our communities, and I'll talk a little bit more about what that looked like. We relied heavily on our partners in the district, in between departments, across school staff, but then also our community agencies as well. We highlighted one school, and then we issued a proclamation that you'll get to hear here in momentarily. So we did see significant decreases in chronic absenteeism. There was about a 2% decrease overall in chronic absenteeism across our district, which might not seem significant, but those are thousands of students that are now attending our schools because of the work of school staff and our department. So we're really proud, and we hope to continue that momentum as we move through the school year with many different kinds of creative, innovative ways that support the school community overall, but also the individual needs of our students. We did it through a comprehensive approach. So every school had an attendance officer and a re-engagement specialist assigned to that school, including elementary schools. And then we were a part of the attendance team. So we worked to provide training and professional development for schools so that they could develop their own attendance teams. They knew what data to look at. They knew when to intervene. And they really put the word out to families and students across the entire school around why attendance is important and what you miss out on when you're not there. Our tiered approach is when we're looking through multi-tiered systems of approach, our multi-tiered systems, MTSS. Why am I spacing it? What's the last one? Thank you. I don't know why I was spacing it. Not enough coffee this morning. And so we identify interventions that way so that we have school-wide interventions where we're really doing like an attendance campaign and getting out the message about attendance. But then we do more group work at Tier 2, and we do individualized, more intensive support at a Tier 3. And we really worked, as I said, with our community partners. This is a community issue across our district. It's not just what is occurring in school. Our students have challenges outside of school that make it hard to get to school sometimes. So we partnered with our community partners to help identify some of those issues. One example is RTC has now allowed all students to be able to ride for free on their buses. And that really helps to support that transportation barrier, right? And then we continued under the support of Doug Taylor, who is in the audience. Not all students have a phone to download the app, right? So that they can get the youth pass. So what do? Now we have cards so that students have the actual physical card and they can swipe in to use the bus when they need to do that. So we're continually working towards identifying the barriers and resolving those barriers for students. We had a really great campaign. We did a partnership with PBS, KMPB, and they talked about this. It was over $100,000 of free services on this campaign. I think this particular campaign ran 4,000 times over the last year, and so we're hopefully going to watch this so you can see what we did together.
If you're a kindergarten parent, you want great things for your child, and so do we. And those great
can't
things
see
will
it, but you
happen
can hear it.
if
Hold on.
they show up to school.
Kindergarten is the starting line for your child's education, and it builds the foundation for success in school, yet it is the most challenging for student attendance.
And that matters because even missing a small part of the day means your child is losing valuable instruction. And by first grade, we can see the difference.
So show up.
Stand by, little technical issues.
Yeah, I've hit it 3 times. Okay. Now you should be able to
Okay, there we go.
If you're a kindergarten parent, you want great things for your child, and so do we. And those great things will happen if they show up to school.
Kindergarten is the starting line for your child's education, and it builds the foundation for success in school, yet it is the most challenging for student attendance.
And that matters because even missing a small part of the day means your child is losing valuable instruction. And by first grade, we can see the difference.
So show up for your child by taking kindergarten seriously, because great things happen when you show up.
So you'll notice this was kindergarten, right? And we focused on kindergarten because kindergarten has some high rates of chronic absenteeism. It's a difficult transition for students, but we also know that when students don't show up to school or they're chronically absent in the kindergarten level, it's a predictor of them being chronically absent in future grades. And so we want to send that message out to families that it's important to come to school, and then to give them strategies. You know, when you're dropping off your little one, it's difficult. It's emotional for families, and it's difficult for students to start to sort of work through what does it look like to be in a structured setting with multiple students. And so it's a big transition year. So they were focused on kindergarten to help support that message. All right, let me pull up the PowerPoint again. Maybe, or not. Okay, and then finally, we worked towards a community task force. So we worked with strengthening our communities. We continue to work with them, and they are seeking funding for us to do a few things, several things. We have about 10 priorities that we've identified as systemic issues that impact chronic absenteeism, but we're prioritizing a few. And so we're working towards expanding communities in schools in the middle school level. We're continuing on our middle school engagement project, which is in 3 middle schools currently. And if you recall, those are staff that are located at a middle school, and their primary role is to work on chronic absenteeism and engaging in students in clubs, athletics, and other activities that will engage them. And we are seeking support for our family resource centers. You might recall that we have talked a little bit about family resource centers. We have 5 locations, and these family resource centers really work to stabilize the basic needs of families. We know when families don't have access to consistent housing, food, hygiene products, those kinds of things impact our families' ability to get students to school, and it impacts our students' ability to engage in school. So we want to make sure that those needs are met. So we are seeking funding to sustain and potentially expand our family resource centers. Because they are entirely grant funded, we don't utilize school district general funds to fund those centers. And some of those are federally funded, and we've been impacted by decreases in funding this last year in family resource centers. We are collaborating with Community Health Alliance, and we're developing a partnership and a pilot with 4 different schools where the families at those schools will have access the same day to medical appointments when students have medical issues and they need to be seen by a doctor. So we're collaborating with them, and we would love in the future to have school-based health clinics where potentially we have medical services on site that make it easier for families to just access medical care, dental care, those kinds of things. And then we continue to collaborate with the city of Reno around how we can approach different systemic issues within Reno, the Reno area. So I'm going to stop here and see if there's any questions. And then the rest of my PowerPoint is for another agenda item. See if there's questions, and then I'm going to read to you the proclamation that our superintendent read during the Board of Trustees.
Roger Botten for the record. I just want to congratulate you and your department and the district for this intensive and comprehensive program addressing it. I think it really has made some effects. I see that within my elementary schools, just the attitude doing it. I just hope they keep up that effort and keep going with it. It's hard that you can go for a year and you do great stuff, and it's easy to get distracted on other things, but I think this is really probably one of the most important areas we can focus on. I see the good work in it. Just want to see, I'm excited about it continuing and the new things you guys are doing. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Any questions, comments?
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read this proclamation because I feel like you all contribute directly to this all the time. So I want you to be able to hear it, and I can give you a copy if you're interested. And then I want to remind the committee that this is an action item. So if you have any additional recommendations that you would like to discuss and vote on, this is an opportunity for you to do that. This will be a standing agenda item for this committee as we move through the year. If there are things that you'd like to vote on and provide as a recommendation for our district or my department and staff, you can do it during this agenda item. Okay, here we go. Whereas good attendance and student engagement is the cornerstone of student learning and graduation, and whereas promoting attendance relies on students and their families experiencing connectedness to their school, and whereas taking a positive problem-solving approach to reducing absenteeism requires data-driven decision-making, positive and consistent communication with families, creative and effective strategies and interventions, and whereas improving attendance and reducing absenteeism takes schools, the school district, families, and community partners working together to identify and address factors contributing to students missing school, particularly a lack of access to resources, mental and physical health services, and access to basic economic supports, including food and housing. And whereas students are more likely to attend when these 4 conditions for learning, physical and emotional health and safety, a sense of belonging, connection, and support, academic challenge and engagement, and adults and peers with social emotional competency are in place. And whereas chronic absenteeism is a signal of unmet needs, and increasing student attendance requires a comprehensive approach that begins with prevention and early intervention, and adopting trauma-informed approaches rather than responding with punitive action. Now, therefore, I, Joe Ernst, Superintendent of the Washoe County School District, do hereby proclaim September as Attendance Awareness Month in the Washoe County School District and urge our community partners to collaborate with the district on improving absenteeism in our schools. All right, so our superintendent did a much better job than I did reading this on Tuesday. You can actually pull up the board meeting if you'd like to see the entire presentation. And we had lots of community partners that presented with us that day too. So it was first on the agenda, so you can find it pretty quickly if you want to watch that board meeting. Any questions or discussions around any further actions?
No, not this time. All right, Roger Botton again. We'll move on to 2.03, presentation discussion on final chronic absenteeism rates in the Washoe County School District for the 24-25 school year.
Okay, I pulled up some of our elementary school chronic absenteeism, and I do have available middle and high school if we want to talk about those too. So overall, we saw about a 2% chronic absenteeism for our district. This is elementary school. This is where we saw the largest decreases in chronic absenteeism. We have had schools that had almost nearly 20% decrease in chronic absenteeism because of their daily focus in supporting attendance. So those are amazing numbers, and we're proud of our elementary schools. Our middle schools also saw decreases in chronic absenteeism, and that's typically where we see really large increases at sixth grade, where we see students becoming more chronically absent. So we saw decreases across middle school, and then high school continues to be a bit of a struggle with our seniors being the most chronically absent and the most severely chronically absent. And there are a variety of reasons why seniors miss. So there's obviously seat time, and when you have seniors who only need 3 classes, but they are required to be in a full load, sometimes they are wanting or needing to work instead of going to classes that they don't necessarily need to graduate. Or there are childcare providers, or there's other things that they're engaging in that are important to them. So we continue to see our seniors being the most severely chronically absent students. So when we briefly look at race and ethnicity, sorry, this turned off. Excuse me. If we look at race and ethnicity, we see that our African American and Pacific Islander students are the most chronically absent, but you'll see this downtick. So the gray is in 2023, the dark gray is 2024, and the orange is in 2025. And across all race and ethnicities, we saw decreases in chronic absenteeism. If we look at our special populations, so our special populations, the far left is our district as a whole, but free and reduced lunch are our students that are accessing free and reduced lunch, or FRL. IEP are students that are receiving special education services. EL are our English learners. CIT are our children in transition. Those are students that are identified as homeless, and they are consistently the most severely chronically absent population, but we still saw decreases in chronic absenteeism for them. And GT is our gifted and talented special population. Let me scroll down for a second.
Roger Botton for the record. I think this shows that our program, what you guys are doing, is working. That it's across the board in all categories. We see what I think is a significant drop in those things. That's good stuff. If we can keep that up, it looks like that's the trend in the last 3 years that we're making progress on that. So.
And you'll see this is our grade level. So again, you see the kindergarten being slightly higher than the rest. But you're seeing decreases. Kindergarten is not mandated also for families. We have a mandatory age that students have to begin school at 6. That's new. But kindergarten is not a mandatory grade for students also, so that's a bit of a challenge. But you're seeing grade level, at all grade levels, we saw decreases in chronic absenteeism. And we saw similar trends in middle school as well. And again, high school is sort of leveling off for us. So we have work to do at a high school level.
Roger Botton for the record. Hopefully, this establishes a pattern within those kids that then when they get to high school, they're valuing seat time, being involved in the school,
Yeah.
caring about where they're going, goal setting. So I think
Right.
hopefully we'll see that carry on as it goes on.
Yes.
Danielle Valancourt for the record. I think this is just showing that the kids feel like they're being listened to.
Yeah.
They're actually feeling like they're being helped outside of the realm of their
Right.
parents. So, very cool. Good work,
Yeah,
you guys.
thank you. And these trends at early grades, I think, this is prevention, right? So if we can prevent these students from being chronically absent when they enter into high school, they're going to be more successful. They're more prepared academically and have stronger social emotional skills when they enter into middle and high school. So we'll hopefully over time see those decreases sort of work through as these elementary school students move up to middle and high school. Okay.
Danielle Valancourt for the record. I also feel like kids that are in middle school right now, if they feel like they're not being heard at their middle school, they've been going to their elementary schools.
Right.
And just kind of waiting outside the fence and talking to principals and old teachers and stuff, which I found kind of interesting
Yeah.
happening in the last year.
That's a really interesting point. So one of the things that we are working on right now around professional development is working with principals to build the capacity of their staff to identify a trusted adult for students in school. There's a I wish I could remember it, but it's a book, and I'll send it to you all if you ever want to read it. But it's about developing a trusted adult for students to help them feel a part of the community, feel a part of school, to be seen. Sometimes when we talk with students who leave our district or are chronically absent, they don't feel like they have a connection to an adult or other peers in school, and they don't feel like it's noticed when they're gone. So they'll go back to people that they do feel connected to. So our students are seeking connections, and so it needs to be student-led, and helping to students facilitate a connection to an adult is really a priority for us this year.
All right, thank you for that. We'll move on to 2.04, presentation discussion to update the Student Attendance Advisory Committee on Washoe County School District Intervention Department supports to reduce chronic absenteeism.
Okay, so I'm sorry, you have to hear me so much today. I wanted to share with you this highlight. So, as I said at the Board of Trustees meeting, we highlighted Trainer Middle School for some of their innovative ways in which they are approaching reducing chronic absenteeism. And you may have heard about this concept called the walking school bus. And essentially what this is volunteers. It could be grandparents, it could be community members, it's very frequently school staff, it could be parents, and they gather together at a meeting place to have students meet them, and then they all walk together. And there's a couple of reasons behind that, so that they feel a part of that community, that families feel more comfortable that their students are safe and being supervised as they walk to school. This is something that's been a part of actually our school police department under Safe Routes to School. And it's also been a way for us to think about helping students get to school. So for example, if you have elementary school students and their families have to work at 6 o'clock in the morning, so their students have to get to school on their own, that is something that, did you have something, Roger? Are you at 2? Oh, I skipped over. I'm sorry. That was my fault. I was looking at the wrong thing. Okay, well, we'll pause. Actually, if you don't mind, we'll just do 2.05 and then we'll go back to
That's fine.
2.04.
Sure.
Because I have it up already. Okay. And so anyway, so this walking bus. So this is a way to do this. Trainer did this. They had several news agencies that came out to sort of highlight this. So I just wanted to share with you what it looks like. So you have questions, and then this is something that we're partnering with many schools to start to do this if it's a need at their school site. Oh, hold on. Go back. It's not working for me. Well, will you help me then, sir? Wait, it might be this one. It was already embedded in there.
Well, kids at Trainer Middle School are taking part in a fun new way to get to school. Check out this walking school bus. Every morning, kids and adults meet at Pat Baker Park and make that 10-minute walk to the school. The principal, Lucy Dugan, saying it's in response to families who have raised concerns about the walk zones for the school, especially crossing a major street like Audie. So along the way, they talk about pedestrian and crosswalk safety, but Dugan says there are other benefits.
The other thing I'm excited about is that, a lot of our sixth graders don't know everybody, and so if they have a meeting place here, it's a way for them to make friends and then walk together all the way to school so that they feel safe.
The adults also get the chance to talk with the kids in a less formal environment, get to know them a little bit better. Principal Dugan saying the idea is to improve the school's absenteeism. In fact, last year they improved it by 10%, so this year they're trying to do that again. The walking school bus will take place every day for the first 2 weeks of school and then every Friday through the school year. The youth built.
Thank you so much for coming out today. 15 in a row. The Cats are making it happen once again.
Okay. All right. Any questions about that? That's a new initiative that we're working on this year.
I do love this. Roger Button for the record. I think it helps kids bond and also get some kind of accountability. Their friends are waiting for them. They're a place to meet. They get to talk, and it makes it social as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really nice intervention.
Yeah. Thank you.
Danielle Valancourt for the record. Over at Catherine Dunn, they do it for the elementary school, and I feel like it's good for the kids that are learning how to walk outside the house by themselves, who are kind of used to their parents walking with them all the time.
Right.
So it gives them a little bit more security to do that on their own.
Right.
Yeah, at such a young age.
Right.
Any other comments, questions? No. Okay, now we'll move back to 2.04.
My apologies. Okay, 2.04. I just wanted to give you an overview of what our department did. So as a reminder, the intervention department oversees attendance overall. So that includes attendance coding, attendance taking, but also attendance systems, attendance interventions, those kinds of things. Attendance officers and re-engagement specialists. So we did assign an attendance officer. We have 10 currently. Well, we have a vacancy right now. So we will, when we're fully staffed, have 10 attendance officers. We have 6 re-engagement specialists. The attendance officers are focused on students that are approaching at 7% up to 19% chronically absent. And then the re-engagement specialists are focused on 20% and higher, or students that are not currently enrolled or still school age and need support re-enrolling somewhere. We're a part of every school attendance team. So that allows us to decide who is doing what. The schools do a lot of interventions at the school site level. And if we're not seeing the improvement that we would like to see at a school site level, then schools might request that we do formal attendance monitors through an attendance officer. So a formal attendance officer, formal attendance monitor is we meet and monitor the attendance once a week with a student for 45 days. So you may recall that we used to do 20 days. When we looked at the outcomes of the 20-day monitors, we saw no impact on attendance at 20 days. So we expanded that and extended it to 45 days. And so last year we saw over a 60% improvement in the student, or 60% of the students that attendance officers worked with saw improvements of 5 to 6%. Decrease in chronic absenteeism. So we're happy with that. We're going to continue on with those 45-day monitors.
Danielle Valancourt for the record.
Yes.
I do have a question about that. So
Yes.
they just kind of see that the child is chronically absent for
Yes.
an extended amount of time.
Yes.
So then they intervene with the parents and whoever
Correct.
the guardianship is and just
Yeah.
oversight for 45 days, basically.
That's correct. Yeah, it's essential that we partner with families so that they understand sort of what's happening. Sometimes families are not aware of how much time their students have missed, but also for us to understand what are the barriers, what are the reasons why they are missing school, because sometimes it's things that we have to do to help families, and then sometimes it's things that we need to do to motivate students and get them more connected and engaged in school. And then we also worked on facilitating a trusted adult at the school site. So every attendance officer has about 10 schools on their caseload, so they can't be the trusted adult all the time. They're not there every day. So we're working on establishing a school site trusted adult for students that are on monitors.
Awesome. I like that it was extended to 45 days. That's cool.
Okay, I just want to pull up the numbers, the actual numbers that we saw. Make sure that I have it. Okay, we did. Sorry, I just want to make sure that I'm looking at the right numbers. That's our SARB numbers. I will talk to you a little bit about SARB. Okay, here it is. So we did 504 formal attendance monitors last year across our attendance officers. So that was great. And we also provided additional intensive case management and re-enrollment support through re-engagement specialists for 734 students that we consider vanished. So they're not enrolled anywhere. And through that work, the re-engagement specialists were able to support 329 students to re-enroll in school again. And we are working to figure out what the stick rate is right now. So of those 329 students, how many are still enrolled now after we've returned them? Did they stay in school or did we see them drop out again? So we should have that stick rate for you all here soon as we're looking through those students to see, are they still enrolled and attending? We did SARB hearings. We did 224 students through our Student Attendance Review Board hearings. Those were students that were considered severely chronically absent. The school had tried 3 interventions at a school site level. We did a formal attendance monitor on the students, and we didn't see an improvement in attendance. So then we go through the Student Attendance Review Board. Roger Botten is on that board sometimes. We have a representative from Juvenile Services on that board. It's an interdisciplinary board. Children's Cabinet has a representative on that board. We meet with the family, the school, to understand the reasons why students are missing school. And then again, we provide 45 days of intensive case management with those students. And so those are some of the students that we worked with in terms of the more severely chronically absent students. So we're going to continue to do that. We also have our middle school engagement project that I highlighted a little bit at the beginning of the meeting, where we have 3 re-engagement specialists that are providing school site interventions. We're doing lots of professional development, and I don't even know how many schools Doug and I have met with already, but it's been significant. I think we've met with every high school and almost all of the middle schools, if not all the middle schools between the 2 of us. We are continuing to do that, so we'll have some of those numbers for you after the the end of this first quarter. So that's our goal, is to get to our schools by the end of this quarter, just to talk about how things are going, where are you at, what supports do you need, those kinds of things. And then we also provide additional family trainings around attendance, trauma-informed practice trainings, all sorts of trainings for staff and families as well. So that's what our intervention department is doing currently. Any questions?
All right.
Oh, I did want to share also. So last year, our staff did 3,003 home visits trying to reach out to students. We did 2,197 transports of students that needed support to get to school. And we did a total of 245 parent meetings at a school site level.
All right, Roger Botton for the record. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to call if there's any public comment.
Just as a community rep, Rochelle Murillo for the record, I want to welcome Kat. We'll formally introduce her at the next agenda item, but the board approved her as our new committee member. So she's with Washoe County Juvenile Services, and she'll have an opportunity. We'll put you on the spot in the future to introduce yourself so that everybody gets to know you. But welcome to the Student Attendance Advisory Committee.
Yes, welcome. All right, Roger Botton again. Our next meeting is December 12th. Same place, same time. At this time, 9:39, I'd like to adjourn the meeting of the Student Attendance Advisory Committee.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Lacey. Take care. Thank you, Roger, for running it. Appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah. They've been doing it for years.